obviously the flying spaghetti monster is the one true God. It just makes sense. But where do I go from there? What's he like? You know, how does a giant ball of pasta think? That's a common question. And it's really interesting, I find, as a scientist, to see how science is revealing him to us. You only have to look at something like string theory, where it's showing through that clearly he is the one true creator, because, you know, everything comes out of pasta strings. That's just brilliant. And, you know, you've got all these scientists saying, oh, religion, push it aside, and yet really all their discoveries are just proving us more and more right, which I think is a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Amen.
I'd like to quote the physicist Richard Feynman. Has anyone got the phone on, by the way? I know you all have. He said, if you think you understand quantum mechanics, you don't understand quantum mechanics. And I think that really sums up the flying spaghetti monster. If you think you understand the flying spaghetti monster, well, you don't. Because he's so awesomely complex and has so many strings of pasta that we can never really hope to understand the full picture. But he has revealed certain things to us, and helpfully put them in a book. I find this very helpful. I know a lot of times, you know, when you just Wikipediaing stuff and just random people putting things, it doesn't work. But when he reveals it to a single author that goes through no kind of review process or peer recommendations, it works a lot better. And we know it does because Bobby Henderson, the prophet, told us it works. I just want to look at kind of some of the proofs. I know some people are a bit shaky and like, well, you know, people come up to me and say, well, how do we know that the flying spaghetti monster is the one true God? Well, and, you know, people are lost for answers. What do you say to a question like that? But there's quite a good few proofs that you can just hit them back with, not literally, unless you wish to, that just kind of prove beyond any kind of doubt whether he is the one true God. First of all, well, of course he is. I mean, we have some kind of inkling that he's there. We found out about it, so it's not like we just made it up one day. Second, of course, it's in a book. And when the books lie to you, you know, the whole thing about university is basically 3 years of teaching you, don't use Wikipedia, look it up in a book. Books don't lie. A lot of people, you know, say it's not true, but just hit them back with, are you calling Bobby Henderson a liar? Like, I've never met Bobby Henderson or heard of him before I read his book, but he doesn't strike me as the kind of guy that would lie. He's from America. Nobody lies from America. That's just science.
Amen.
So I'd like to tell you a story about his loving personality and how he provides for everyone. I've got a friend, I'm sure you've all got a friend like this, and she is just the most drunken, alcoholic, gambling sinner you can imagine. And it's awful to watch one of your friends go through that, I'm sure you'll agree. And as you know, those of you who've already been students, you know, you tend to bounce from one student loan check to the other. And things get a bit tight at the end before your next student loan payment, am I right?
Yeah.
Well, as you can imagine, when you're, you know, a constant alcoholic doing loads of drugs, it doesn't quite stretch that far, and you get to that kind of end period about a month before your next student loan payment and realise that you can't afford to buy any food. And it's not a pretty situation to be in. You have to go begging, you have to come to courses like One Life, which is on Friday and provides a free dinner. And she'd just cleaned out everything. I mean, she'd been eating mustard with a playing card to survive. And I was round her house one day, and I was like, you need to stop sinning, you need to accept the flying spaghetti monster into her life. And like, I said to her, well, I'm sure you've got some food here. And I opened the cupboard, and there, in a completely empty cupboard, but one thing, was a bag of spaghetti. And that fed her for a week. She doesn't eat that much, but nevertheless, a small bag about that big of spaghetti, feeding someone for a week, I think, is a sure sign of a miracle.
Amen.
And that's just one example of how he provides for us, which I think is truly inspiring. And I want to go on to illustrate a bit more about his personality and what he's doing to us somewhat of a fable, some of you may know. It's the story of the judge and the criminal. Does anyone know this? It's good, I'm delivering it to a room full of fresh faces then. It starts out with two friends who go to school together, and they are inseparable. I'm sure you've all either had a best friend, or if you were like me, you had a friend who had a best friend and you hated them because you were always a third wheel. It's that kind of close-knit friendship. But as things happen, they grew up and they kind of grew apart. One of the friends went on to law school and he became a judge, and the other just kind of failed all his exams, didn't really do any work, and became a criminal. And he got caught and he got sent to court, and when he got in there he found that it was actually his old friend that was judging over the case. And his old friend, the judge, was in a bit of a pickle because this guy was guilty, he'd been convicted, and now the judge had to sentence him. And, what do you do in that situation? On one hand, you've got, your job, you've got to uphold the law as a judge, and on the other hand, it's the friend you've known longest and most dearest. And what do you do in that situation? And here's what the judge did. He sentenced him, and he handed down a £10,000 fine. He then took off his robes, went down and greeted his friend, and wrote him out a cheque for £10,000. And this is really what the Flying Spaghetti Monster has done for us. He said, well, I'm just, and you've turned away from me. You've forsaken my chosen people, the pirates, except Nicola, of course, the one true way. And for this I must punish you. And he is. We see it every day. With the reduction in pirates, global temperatures continue to rise. But he's written as a blank cheque. Not for money to pay some kind of court fine, but for the eternal afterlife, where we'll enjoy a stripper factory and beer volcano.
Amen.
And I think it's amazing that someone who's equally just can also be equally loving. It's funny how God's often managed this, but I think it's just true testament to them ripping off the Flying Spaghetti Monster. So I'd just like to go into a prayer now. If you all want to read along, it's on your prayer sheet. Again, with the whole ripping off thing, many people don't know the Lord's Prayer was actually a rip-off of an original prayer by the Church of Flying Spaghetti Monster. So if you want to read out loud, feel free to read out loud. If you want to read in your head, then just read along in your head, that's all fine. Our Pastor, who art in colander, draining be thy noodles. Thy noodle come, thy sauce be young, on top of grated parmesan. Give us this day our garlic bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trample on our lawns. And lead us not into vegetarianism, but deliver us some pizza. For thine is the meatball, the noodle, and the sauce, forever and ever. Amen. Now, what I'd like to do now is just to bring the Flying Spaghetti Monster into the room and just try and heal some people. So, is anyone afflicted? Has anyone got freshers flu? Has anyone got cold, headaches, that kind of thing? If you are, just raise your hand. So Norm at the back. Nicola needs healing. Rosie's got a hand up at the back, she needs healing as well. Sophie and John need healing. So what I'd like everyone else to do is just gather around those in need of healing and just lay your hands on them. And just close your eyes and concentrate all your might into drawing. If you want to stand up, that'll probably make it easier to crowd around people. And just focus all your energies in bringing him into the room and just getting to heal people. If he compels you to do anything, if you want to scream out his name, if you want to pray to him, if you want to speak in tongues, if you want to dance randomly, just do whatever he compels you to do.
I can feel his power today.
Demons be gone.
I can feel his energy.
Do you feel his power? Yes. Do you believe?
His saucy goodness.
Nourish him with your complex carbohydrates.
Has he not touched you, Rich? You seem worrying.
He's healed me!
He's healed! It's a miracle!
He wants me.
He's healed. Can you